This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices fell on Friday on worries that U.S. tariff wars could spark a global recession, but gained for a third consecutive week after Washington ratcheted up pressure on OPEC members Venezuela and Iran. Brent crude futures fell 40 cents, or 0.5% to settle at $73.63 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 56 cents, or 0.8%, to close at $69.36 a barrel. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to announce reciprocal tariffs targeting a wide range of imports, effective on April 2. The trade war has investors worried about a potential recession, J.P. Morgan analysts told clients.
Asian spot liquefied natural gas, LNG, prices were at their lowest level in nearly 6 months amid muted demand in China and Japan due to high stocks after a mild winter, but are expected to get support from stronger European demand. The average LNG price for May delivery into Northeast Asia INGAS was at $13 per million British thermal units, MMBTU, the lowest level since October 11, 2024 and down from $13.60 per MMBTU last week, industry sources estimated. Asian demand, most notably China, is lacking. So we're looking at declining rates and the paper bid isn't there to support spot, said Toby Copson, chairman at Davenport Energy Partners.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
China has issued export quotas for 12.8 million metric tons of gasoline, diesel and aviation fuel in its second batch of allowances this year, down by 1.2 million tons from a year earlier, trade sources and a China-based consultancy said on Friday. China manages its fuel exports via a quota allowance system to manage exports and supply levels in its domestic market. State oil majors Sinopec and CNPC were granted 9.25 million tons, or around 73% of the total, according to two trade sources familiar with the matter. Zhejiang Petrochemical Corp., the sole private refiner with export quotas, was allotted 1.18 million tons.
India is considering a proposal to scrap import tax on U.S. liquefied natural gas, LNG, to boost purchases and help cut the trade surplus with Washington, a key irritant for President Donald Trump, four government and industry sources said. The United States is India's second biggest supplier, but the two sides are looking to ramp up volumes for India's energy-hungry economy, one of the fastest growing in the world. Qatar is the top LNG supplier to India. During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's U.S. visit last month, India pledged to increase U.S. energy purchases by $10 billion to $25 billion in the near future, while both leaders agreed to target $500 billion in bilateral trade by 2030. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Copper prices fell on Friday with risk appetite muted by next week's deadline for broad U.S. reciprocal tariffs and stimulus to deliver copper to the U.S. ahead of possible metal-specific tariffs easing. Benchmark 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange was down 0.7% at $9,780.50 a metric ton by 17:22 GMT after hitting $9,739, its 2-week low. The metal, used in power and construction, is so far up 11.5% this quarter, on track for its best quarterly growth in 4 years, prompting some to book profits.
Tin prices hit 2-week highs in London on Friday as speculators bet that an earthquake that rocked major producer Myanmar could delay a restart of production in its main mining region. Benchmark tin on the London Metal Exchange rose 2.5% to $36,140 per metric ton by 15:08 GMT after hitting $36,635, its strongest since March 14. A break above $37,100 would take it to the highest since mid-2022. Myanmar is the world's third largest tin producer and a dominant supplier to China. Mines in tin-rich Wa State, which produce 70% of Myanmar's tin, are about 425 kilometers, 265 miles, away from earthquake epicenter, which according to the United States Geological Survey, was near the Myanmar city of Mandalay.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Speculators cut their bearish bets in futures of raw sugar on ICE US in the week to March 25, while increasing bullish bets in futures of Arabica coffee, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission said on Friday. Funds reduced their net short position in raw sugar by 13,661 contracts to 51,459. Speculators boosted the net long position in Arabica coffee by 2,658 lots to 39,076. Their net long position in New York cocoa rose by 1,118 lots to 6,486.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.